Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pyramid Park vlog, where we are today starting a new series looking at the story behind the songs that I wrote for this album, Vulnerability.
Inside you are the fire.
Today we are in some woods just south of Cambridge, and I thought it was the perfect place to come and talk about the song The Unexplained. But before we start, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has got involved, subscribed, liked the videos, left comments. We really appreciate it. Please continue that. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe today and follow what we're doing. The Unexplained was probably the final song to be written for the new album, Vulnerability. It actually started many months beforehand while I was driving to pick up some guitars for repair, and it was about a 30-minute drive, and I was trying to just write some lyrics for some kind of instrumental tracks that a friend had given me, and I was kind of singing in the car and talking about how it was, you know, trying different ideas out, and eventually came across this whole idea of the unexplained, and I just kept singing it over and over again, the chorus, the unexplained, the unthinkable, it's how you move, it's who you are, and kept on singing that, and of course I never would stop to record, so I had to keep it in my head all this time, just how do I keep this chorus going until I got there, recorded it on my phone, and then thought, right, this is going to be an epic song. I can just feel where it's going to go. It's going to be huge, it's going to be massive. Sadly, as songwriters, anyone who writes songs out there will know, songwriting isn't quite that easy, and it then took me another year before we finished off the song. I was really frustrated because I knew that this chorus was strong and it had something about it that was just unique and different to the average song that I've written before. But I just couldn't finish it. I tried lots of ideas. I had two different hooks, like vocal hooks. Both of them seemed good, but I wasn't sure which one to go with. And I was just stuck for verses. I tried and tried and tried. And I think sometimes when you start to write, and you write from that place of trying too hard almost, it just becomes more and more frustrating. So I was really fortunate to meet up with a friend of mine. We happened to meet at a wedding of a mutual friends and play in the wedding band, and so we got chatting afterwards and realised that we had quite a lot of things in common, and so we were kind of saying, well, why don't we write together? And I don't know, I find co-writing quite difficult, so I really tried to connect with this guy. I really loved him. His name's Fermi, he's a good friend now, and we had a songwriting session which was amazing. And so we booked in another date, and I was like, right, I know exactly what song I want to work with you because I can't finish it, it's really hard, and I really, really need your help. Fermi's amazing. He's just this musical genius who's able to just hear things that maybe I couldn't hear. And so we got working on this song, and he loved the chorus, and he loved one of the hook ideas, so we stuck with it. But then we got really, really we couldn't go anywhere. We tried all these ideas. We had this whiteboard on his on the side of his wall, and we were writing all these lyric ideas down, but none of them seemed to work properly. So this whiteboard was getting full of all sorts of stuff, lyric ideas and lines and things that we thought would really work, but nothing seemed to gel. And to be honest with you, both of us were getting a little frustrated and kind of feeling like, well, why can't we finish this off? I find when I write, I go in on myself more and more if I'm struggling, and particularly with someone else, and I felt like I wasn't contributing personally to the song. And somehow we managed to get to this bridge section. Mountain high, I show no fear, valley low, I know you're near. And somehow we were able to craft this little part, which we knew then that was going to be the bridge. Up until that point we weren't sure whether the chorus was a chorus or a pre-chorus or a bridge. We were just like, it's this great thing, but we don't know what that thing is. And that bridge really nailed the song for us. We had a chorus, we had a hook, we had a bridge. And we knew that from then we could build the verses around that and kind of make it make sense. And so we went off for lunch, we came back, and then had a brilliant writing session of working through the rest of the song. One of the things I love about this song is that it is a little unexpected, because when we wrote it, it was always going to be song number 2 on the album, and there was another song which never actually made the album, which I thought was going to be song number 1. And so when we got to recording and realizing what this song was, we quickly realized we needed to adapt how we began the album with this song. Because it gets so intense so quickly, we wanted to kind of take the listener on a journey from this kind of ambience to this hugeness at the very end of the song. And so Ian, the producer, and I spent a long time just trying to get the intro right to kind of carry people through, bring in the hook early on, the whoa, oh, 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 and then drop it right down. So the first verse is actually one of the most questioned verses I've written in a long time, because in some ways it doesn't make sense to me, and other ways it certainly does. The words are, "I've come to that place where you've been for all time," talking about God and how God is always there, but sometimes it takes us a long time to come to that place where He is. A light burning in space, inside you are the fire. Again, talking about God being far out there and yet inside us, and how those two things work so incredibly well in the Christian faith, and yet they seem like a complete opposite. And that's why it then leads to that, the unexplained, the unthinkable. It's how you move, it's who you are. That when we want God maybe to move in one way, He's actually working behind the scenes doing something even greater, and how it's beyond our comprehension, it's beyond our thinking. The second verse was a lot easier to write, because we could go through some of the things that the Bible talks about God. So your peace, perfect peace, transcends my understanding. In awe of all that you are, you're beyond my reasoning. In other words, I'm going to worship you because you are beyond me, but also I've experienced incredible peace with you. Your power, holy power, roars like a warrior, and your King, King of all kings, your voice I hear and I follow. And personally, I really love that final line before it gets back into the chorus, because as many of you know, I wrote a solo album titled I Hear Your Voice, and it feels like, for me, the Unexplained takes I Hear Your Voice where it ends and just brings something of that into the next album, which for me brings beautiful continuity. Your voice I hear and I follow. Boom, we've done that album. Now let's move forwards with the new message and the new sound and the new song that we've been able to create.
The unexplained, the unthinkable is how you move, it's who you are. The unexplained.
So it was a real privilege to have Fermi come back into the studio a few months later and join Ian, the producer, and I, and work on these tracks and make them what they are. And that's one of the reasons why we picked him as the drummer for the project, because he'd worked on several of the songs with me and really understood the writing process and could carry that in the way that he plays. We then were joined by Henry Marsden, who runs Bespoke Records and plays bass for pretty much anyone in the Christian world, particularly plays live with Jake Isaac, as does Fermi. And really privileged to have him on the project and just bring his energy and his enthusiasm and incredible talent, and to make the bass parts really sync up with the drums.
Your king, the king of all kings, and your voice.
There was one moment where we were really struggling. We'd kind of recorded the song, it was sounding alive, but there were some bits missing, and I remember this kind of bass synth part that we added in last minute. I can't really play keys, as I say many times, but I often found myself on the piano or on the keys just messing around on this project, and there was like this bass line I was hearing in my head, this kind of boom 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 dum 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 dum, and you can kind of hear those parts that just gave a little bit of energy and randomness in the song and created this kind of, I don't know, unusual element that probably I would never have added usually into a song like that. We got to the stage where the song was recorded and we were mixing every track, and Ian was working incredibly hard to just get this project finished in the days that we had allocated. And I remember he spent a long time on this song just trying to get the mix right, and it was nearly there, And then, you know, you get to a point where you've been listening to songs for ages, the same thing over and over and over again, and you're like, ah, my head and my ears are fried. So he took a few minutes out, and we listened back to it, and we were both like, it just doesn't feel right. And the way that it had kind of been mixed, it had become almost like this rock track, where it was just like heavy, big guitars, wailing guitars, and that was brilliant, but the whole album wasn't going to be a rock album, and it would sit so out of place with the rest of the album. And so we tried to pull back the guitars and try and push the synths a bit more and try and just create space so that the song could breathe a little bit and have that kind of atmospheric edge that it really needed to make it kind of feel unexplained. And so I'm really pleased with the way that we managed to kind of pull that one out of the bag and kind of rescue it a little bit from what it had become. Even though the mix was awesome, it just wasn't fitting. So we go through all these different processes of just, you know, working on the song, rewriting, writing until it's finished, and then you're starting from scratch again in the studio and trying to work out, well, the instrumentation, what does that say about this part of the song? How do we play this part? How does this create energy? How do we build to this moment? How do we drop it down? All these things that just create energy and excitement and emotion. So I hope you've enjoyed the story behind the song, and maybe next time you listen to it, why don't you press play now, find it and press play and have a listen to it again, knowing a different part of the story.
To that place where you've been for all time, a light burning in
Please
space.
also share the song with your friends, because as an independent musician I rely on word of mouth so much, and it really helps us get the word out and get the name Pyramid Park out there to new people. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share your thoughts, your comments, and look out for more stories behind songs in the coming weeks.